Alrighty, folks, we're going to go through a real quick kind of consulting or mentoring call. I'm going to reach out to Dana, the CEO of Hemlane, because I want to ask her a quick question. Dana, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me this Thursday.
Absolutely. So as you know, I wasn't able to make our call last week because I was at Sean Cannell's Grow with Video event in Vegas, which was awesome. But one of the topics that came up during that presentation that I wanted to talk to you about is like, who is your avatar? Who are you creating content for? If you're not crystal clear on, in my case, creating content and you as a CEO of a tech company, who your customer is, you're not going to go anywhere, right? You're just
Mhm.
you're throwing stuff on a wall and hoping. So I wanted to share with you what I think my avatar is. You've been on this journey with me for years. We talked way back even before Hemlane was what it was when you were collecting data. So when I think about one rental at a time, it really is who I was at the beginning, right? Full-time professional, family responsibilities, almost no time.
Mhm.
And I was trying to do something to build wealth for the future, right? My grand vision was four houses and better retirement at 65. But when I really step back now, I still think nobody has time, especially if you're busy in a career. But I also think about risk, right? I think there's a lot of people that jump in and jump in without looking and end up losing money, get hurt, go slower. So when I think about all the content I create, I really look at my avatar as somebody who wants to do it, but's willing to do the work, not a get rich quick, but get rich for sure. I know that's a lot of words and I just kind of sprung this on you, but how does that all feel? And how do you at Hemlane think about risk and time?
Yeah, great questions. And I love this because I do think, especially for your audience, knowing who your audience is to provide helpful content is important. In the product space, we call it our ICP, our ideal customer profile. And what we mean by that is everything we provide them should be valuable. It should be for them exactly like if we know them really well, we can target them with exactly what's of interest.
Mm.
It's for us, it's very similar, Michael, to you when you were saying my dream is for rental properties. I know you're at over 200, and you blew it out of the water. But for us, it's really for those owner operators who are just starting out, 1 to 20 rentals, 1 to 50. Now, don't get me wrong, when our users go past 50 rentals, we congratulate them. We're super excited. They can still use Hemlane. But I think when they need us most is at that beginning.
Mm.
And that's when you talk about risk, time and risk, and how do you balance the two. And that is where we kind of step in to try to help them make that easier.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to talk about with my avatar and how I think about it for our customers is a personality and how we run this company.
Mhm.
There's a lot of folks who say, hey, you're a CEO, you should not be in the details, you should step out of the details, you should be high level strategy. The heck no. I have done every repair coordination call. I have gone in and done leasing coordinating showings. I have done it all with every product that we launch. And I think when you're in the details, you really understand what your customers' pain points are, and you're making sure that you are building to solve that pain point. And that's that risk. That's when you mention risk and time and thinking about that for a customer, for them, it's the same thing. It's okay. How much time? Let me give you a good example that hopefully most people on this show can relate to. Great. My tenant put in a repair request and they said that their air conditioner is not working. Okay, but I'm with my family. I'm about to head out to the beach or to lunch or whatever it is. I really don't want to deal with this right now. They're making a decision based on risk and time. And every company has to do that. When you own rental properties, you are a business owner as well. And so it's how do you think about balancing that risk and time payoff of when you're doing things? And for me, it's really clear. I'm a very conservative person.
Hmm.
I don't like to take a lot of risks for our customers. I mean, there's risks I'll take when I ski too fast and I drive too fast and I paraglide, and there's other risks I'll take in my life, but it's not on rental properties and real
Yeah.
estate. It is minimizing that risk so much. And so I think for anyone listening to this, it's how do you make sure you reduce the risk up front to get time back later? And if
Yeah.
you're in the details, you know exactly what's happening, then you can step out of the details and suddenly you've reduced that risk, and you've reduced what I have a ton of. I have way too much of it, anxiety. It reduces my anxiety because I say, you know what? I know exactly how everything works for our customers. I know that it does work. I know I can get on a show with Michael and tell people use this, it works.
Hmm.
And it's because I've been in those details. And so I think when you think about time, there's a certain time in your life to get time back.
Right.
And when you're starting to build your real estate business and all of that, that's not when you get your time back. It's after you do that work, then you get your time back. And I think it's the same for any business, just like ours, just like when you started your YouTube channel. You have to really reduce that risk, spend the time, and then both seem to work in your favor afterwards. So hopefully that's helpful of how I think about risk and time.
Yeah, because when I kind of step back on this, um, again, I think about that busy professional who wants to create that wealth. It takes time. It's a decade. We've talked about all the time on my channel. But when I think about Hemlane, I think you have a unique opportunity because again, I think we're going to have a lot less turnover in housing. I think a lot of people are going to be,
Mm-hmm.
the term accidental
Holding on.
landlord. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they should, right? It's a good financial move, right? You got a 2.8% mortgage, you cash flow 500
Yeah.
bucks or 800 bucks a month or whatever it is. You should keep that thing. But when you're that person, you didn't really have that plan. You need a platform that's kind of built for that mom and pop, right? You didn't build Him Lane for, the REITs of the world. You built it for individual owner operators, which I think is cool. And the other thing I think about with risk is, especially being a landlord is communication, audit trail, tracking, all the cash flow statements, make sure the money's in the right place at the right time. I, I think there's a lot of people that get anxiety trying to do it manually. I remember when Olivia and I started way back in 2002, it was like, gosh, Excel worksheets beyond Excel worksheets and email. Do we
Yep.
do we had faxes? We had faxes. That's how old we are. We had faxes of receipts in folders and just all of this stuff. So I really think, Hemlane leaning into kind of that, let me save you time and let me lower risk is probably what those accidental landlords need to hear. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that we do. Like one of the features, actually, let me show it to you that we just launched. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. This
Hmm.
is prospective tenants. One example of that, and I'll tell you how it works. This says like start date of October 1st. Let's just say at least starts then, which
Hmm.
this should say 2024, but it will walk you through everything you need to do, move in funds, monthly rent, set that up. But let me just go ahead and skip this step and go here. You'll see it request a security deposit and the first month's rent, and you can click request. Here, when I click edit, let's just say I have the start date on the 4th, and maybe, you know what, I'm going to actually change this to 2024 just to be more applicable, and then 2025 here. So let's just say I change things. And so, but this is starting on the 1st, right? And then it's ending probably on the 31st here. When I press save here, and then I go through, and let me actually just go through it with that updated here. What you'll actually see is we'll prorate the rent. We'll do all of that kind of stuff because there's landlords who have questions of, hey, when I go through and prorate rent, should it be 1 divided by 30? Should it be 1 divided by 31 per like number of days and how you prorate it? And so what we do is we just do it for you and we do the math. So everything is in here. And so all of those types of questions we've already gone through and done for our owners. And I think actually Hemlane has a good balance of that. One of the things we were talking about, what we do for landlords and why we do it. And one of the biggest things for us is transparency and trust.
Hmm.
And I think that goes to the risk and time back. We try to give you time back by having all these features that do these certain, calculations for you. But at the same time, we also go through and say, okay, but how do we educate you and let you know exactly what we're doing and when? And so there's that big balance to make sure you feel confident in how we're helping you manage your properties and giving you that time without having that increased risk or kind of the questions of like, hey, is this risky? How are they prorating the rent? How are they signing the lease? Where is that from, et cetera? And so putting that all together, I think, has been really important to us. And you mentioned at the beginning your avatar and who your customer is. And really knowing that makes it a lot easier to build products and build services for your customer.
Yeah. The other thing I want to go back to is why Him Lane is where it's at, helping the mom and pop investors, is because you, the CEO, really the visionary, um, you're not, you don't put yourself on a pedestal and out of the muck, right? You get in the weeds, you take the repair calls, you live by example, and you're not willing to say something's broke or not right. It's like, no, guys, this is not okay. Fix it,
Mhm.
right? Rev two or whatever you want to call it. I think that just goes to show that you're not a CEO who's just doing the steak dinners. You're in the mud, really thinking about your avatar and the mom and pop investors. And I know when you started Him Lane, it was really about mom and pop investors. I really think you have that you have a accidental landlord wave coming. And
Yeah.
if I'm sitting here as a marketing person or what I used to do, go to market, I would almost I would probably create a second message for accidental landlords because you've undoubtedly have great marketing for mom and pop and hey,
Yeah.
5 to 10 units and all of that. But I don't think there's a player in town marketing using the word accidental landlord,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Hey,
yeah. It's
I
such a
would
good
do
one.
that. I
And I
would do
hope
that.
that those who are accidental landlords, our goal is to make it so easy for them, for any landlord, that you want to buy more properties, right? That
Exactly.
you accidentally become Michael Zuber and have
Yeah.
200 plus rentals
Yeah.
that you own and
Even if
operate.
you have four, even if you have four changes your life forever,
Yeah. Yep.
just four. So I really think that accidental landlord, I think there's there. I think it's kind of like sub two for me. I mean, sub two and Pace Morby is taken off because it's right time, right place, right? Low 2%, now 9%. I think Hemlane's in a unique place because you are mom and pop focused, that you can orient just a little bit to accidental landlords. I would even market accidental landlords, and I do the math. Are you sitting on a mortgage of this? Would you rent it for that? Did you know you could cash flow? Just I think I would educate people on why accidental landlord is a good thing.
A good thing.
I think there's something there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is one of those things I do believe that accidental landlords, they also, a lot of times, they're not, before they become one, they aren't thinking about renting until they hear it from someone
Oh,
else. They're thinking, let me just sell it. And they have no idea that, I think you've said it, Michael, so well, the asset for them is that mortgage.
it's the
That
debt.
is now
Yep.
suddenly an asset, or the debt, yeah, associated with it, because you're at an interest rate you could never get again.
No, absolutely. Again, folks, I think there's a lot of accidental landlords. I think what an accidental landlord needs is to feel safe. They need to
Mhm.
understand it's covered. Right. And the beauty about Hemlane is you've actually went out and created a 14-day trial. And if I was even considering it being an accidental landlord, I would get this trial and I would beat it up. Right. I would go in and really act like it, see it, repair requests, marketing, financials, all of those things. If somebody wanted to get that trial, where would they go?
Yeah, you can go to www.hemlane, HEMLANE.com, and just mention Michael Zuber or one rental at a time for 20% off your first year.
Folks, do yourself a favor. If you're thinking about it, go practice for 14 days. Doesn't cost you a penny. This is a little bit of time. See that being an accidental landlord is possible. That's
Mhm.
what I think a lot of accidental landlords are like, I'm nervous. Just go do the trial. Figure it out. It's one unit. You got to market. You got to, collect rent. You got to do some repairs. Just practice, practice, practice. And again, Dana, thank you for leading from the front. Thank you for getting in the mud, taking those repair calls, really pushing the application forward. It is where it is because of you. You're amazing. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.